And it's expensive to raise kids now, right? It's so expensive that I heard that this is true. Parents are now stealing their kids' identity. Yeah, they're like taking a kid's social security number and racking up debt on it. Yeah, there's a whole book about it. I bought it with my niece's credit card.
A year or so into my comedy career, I stopped carrying a purse. I didn't really want to quit, and it was a pain to stuff everything into my pockets. But at the time, I was working a lot of comedy clubs with green rooms that didn't lock. Not being locked meant that pretty much anyone could walk in, and since I can't see anything from the stage and I couldn't take my purse on stage, it would be pretty easy to walk out with my stuff. It also seemed like many of the comics I was working with at the time were dating strippers. Yeah, no offense to strippers, but I didn't really want to leave my ones around them, or my fives or my tens. Green rooms are supposed to be places where the comics relax and get away from everything, but a lot of times they weren't really that relaxing. They usually have lots of people in there, comics, girlfriends, guests, waitresses, and sometimes random audience members. Aside from visitors, other stuff went on in there too. Sometimes comics were fighting or practicing or making other people nervous because they were nervous. Not all green rooms were like that, but some of them were, and it was kind of annoying. And sometimes they really weren't green or rooms. If there was no room, we'd have to hang out at the bar or maybe a corner of the kitchen or a part of the manager's office. I actually didn't mind hanging in the showroom a lot of the time because I can get the vibe and energy of the audience and see who I'm about to joke with. One theater we were in did not have any room anywhere for us, backstage or in the showroom. Backstage, there were steps that went in two directions, on stage and outside. Yeah, it was Indianapolis in January, and the outside door was kept open for some reason. So it was freezing, and I had to sit on the steps. They had taken the one chair to put in the overpacked theater. The shows went great, but thankfully I didn't have to go to the bathroom. One of my favorite green rooms is at the Comedy and Magic Club in Hermosa Beach, where Jay Leno performs on Sunday nights. The walls are signed with lots of stars from way back. There's a big table to sit at. There's a TV in case you want to watch what's going on stage or the baseball or football game. And there's plenty of food and drinks. I once worked there with Howie Mandel before he had his game show. His parents were there, and after the show, Howie, his parents, and I, along with a couple of the club staff, got treated to a private magic show by our friend Brian Gillis. Brian was billed as Johnny Carson's favorite magician, and he was great. It was a nice green room experience. One of the oddest green rooms I've had was in a Winnebago when I did a show for, you guessed it, the biggest manufacturer of Winnebagos. It was really fun, and this green room was cool. It was a top-of-the-line Winnebago. All the seats folded down into beds, including the driver's seat, which, as I pointed out on stage, was not really an optimal driving position. I did the show at their annual Winnebago Jamboree, where people with Winnebagos get together for a week to share their Winnebago stories. It sounds corny, but it was a huge event. It was an outdoor amphitheater at the camping site, and it was funny because 20 minutes before I went on, no one was there. Then all of a sudden, hundreds of people in scooters scooted into the area. Yeah, you can't drive your Winnebago around, so everyone drags a scooter with them. The show went great, and for a little while, I kind of wanted to buy a Winnebago. Some theaters are attached to schools, and we get to hang in classrooms as the green room. This was the case at a theater where I was videotaping my set. While the first act was on stage, I decided to explore the school. Yeah, I opened a door, went outside, and it locked on me. It was cold and rainy, and I realized I was on top of a mud pile on a construction site in the dark. Thankfully, I found my way down very slowly without falling, and I made it around to the front of the school where I found an open door. I got backstage just in time for the MC to announce me. I got a great video that night, but the camera was up high, looking down on me, so if you look at my tape, you can actually see my muddy footprints all over the stage. The takeaway from this is to find what works for you when you need to relax. Yeah, some people like meditation, some people like to take a walk, some people like a noisy green room, and some people like to be out with the audience, getting the vibe of the room. Find out what works for you. That's it for this episode. Thanks for listening. Feel free to check out my website, theworklady.com. This is Jan. Take care and enjoy your journey.